What is up, guys? Ninja Nick 333. We're back with the first round of the second day of the Orlando, Florida Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional Championships. Fun fact, if I get top 4 at NAIC, I will get an invite to the World Championships since it's 350 points now. I will have exact 350 if I do. And that is why I'm not trying this season. How is everybody doing today? Looks like this is the conversion rate for day 2. It was about 26% day 1, Lugia VSTAR decks, and then it converted to about 35% of decks into day 2. So that just goes to show how good Lugia VSTAR is. The other top decks are all the same, in the same order, but all of their percentages went down slightly. So that's kind of fun to see. All of these ones converted downwards while this one converted upwards. So that just goes to show how good Lugia is. More Lugia decks made it into day 2 than in the other decks. So we will just skip right into the first round that they're streaming. Looks like Azul versus John Ang. That's a good match for sure. So it looks like definitely Lugia on the left. I believe Azul is on some sort of control deck, if I remember hearing correctly. Also, the light on John's prizes must be out because they're pretty dull and dark right now. But yeah, I do remember hearing that Azul's group was on some weird control thing that just ended up not really working out very well. Looks like Azul is 9-2, John Ang is 9-1-1. This is Swiss round 12, so this is the third round. 10, 11, 12. Third round. I had to count on my fingers. That's sad. Third round of day 2. So it should be a total of 4 rounds of Swiss, and then top 8, top 4 finals. Azul just goes Wash, Water Energy, Cape of Toughness, Galar Mine, Pass, which does not seem like enough, but it is enough to get him this far in the tournament at least. So we'll see if John has what it takes to get out of this. This deck should match up favorably, or Azul's deck should match up favorably against Lugia. If he decided to bring this to a tournament, he should believe that it should beat Lugia more often than it loses to it. Azul's group always does this crazy spreadsheet with all of their testing results to see what decks beat which other decks, what percentages of the time, and they quite literally do a statistical analysis to see which deck is the best to bring to a tournament. And that's why you see Azul and Grant Manley and all of their friends, they always do so well at multiple tournaments, is they quite literally put a ton of testing and a ton of statistical mathematics into their deck choices. And of course the playtesting converts into, knowing how to play better. So we do see double quick ball here from John Ang, gets double Archeops in the discard pile. That is pretty good. We do have a Lugia and a Luminion down there on the bench since it is no longer turn 1 of the match. A supporter can be played. We are going to get a Capture Energy onto the Manaphy, it looks like. That's pretty fine. That'll allow him to retreat it. Should he be able to replace the Galar Mine, at least. I think that might be one of the reasons why Azul's group did play this deck, is because Galar Mine, Lugia doesn't really have an out to. Like, yes, it has Pumpkaboo sometimes to discard stadiums, but a lot of Lugia decks at this point aren't playing stadiums even at all. I know Tord is playing a couple Collapse Stadium, I believe, 1 or 2. But Lugia generally doesn't play Air Balloon. It doesn't play counter stadiums. It just relies on hard retreating or just having you knock it out in order to move the Pokemon. They usually have a Bird Keeper, but that's considered a tech, so not even all of the decks have it. And you can only really do it once in a game. They don't play Pal Pad or anything. So the Galar Mine is a really good out to Lugia to help burn the energies out. Azul should be playing something like the Evital with the Cry of Destruction that can discard multiple special energies that are in play as well. And as you should have been able to see, I think he drew Ice Cube for turn, and that's a good out to things like Reggie's and Lost Box, is just putting Ice Cube up, it being completely alone on the board, so that Escape Rope and Boss's Orders can't really do anything to you. And then you just win the game like that, off the back of a little Ice Cube penguin dude. Control decks are always very interesting in Pokemon because this game is meant to be very aggressive, and it's not meant to be control based. So whenever cards come together to make a control deck, it's usually super toxic. Like, the game is meant to be taking prize cards. And there's so much just usually recycling. For those who don't know, that's just a notepad. You press the button on the bottom and it erases everything that's written on it. It's just a way to save paper. People are always like, what is it that Caleb is writing on? What is it that Azul's writing on? I don't understand what that is. It's quite literally just a notepad. It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch, except instead of having to shake it to erase it, you just hit the button. And instead of having to turn knobs to draw on it, you just have a pen. Same idea. And it's not electronic, so it's legal to use as a notepad in Pokemon. Because you have to use, like, pen and paper, technically. But, you know, a little more environmentally friendly than having to chop down a bunch of trees to use as a notepad. Quick balls away the Ice Cube. He knows he doesn't need that in this matchup since most of the time John's going to be attacking with a Lugia VSTAR. Does quick ball for the Radiant Greninja. He's going to be able to use that to conceal some cards and draw some cards. And that is the Evital that I was talking about, the one from the anniversary promo thing from last year. Evital with the Cry of Destruction for 2 colorless energies can discard 3? I believe it's 3. Special energies from your opponent's side of the field. Goes ahead and gets yet another one as well. Likely the way that this deck wins against Lugia is uses Galar Mine to make sure that Lugia can't really retreat, and then just uses Cry of Destruction over and over and over until all of the energies are gone. And then you can just deck your opponent out, winning a very long game 1. Not quite sure how this works against something like Goodra, though. Because they play scoop-up nets to get around Galar Mine. They can just have lone Goodra in play with all basic energies and one-shot all your dudes. But I suppose it's just a meta call. They just wanted to avoid Goodra and probably hit it a bunch. Do see double Evo Incense. First one gets a Lugia VSTAR, second one gets an Archeops. John's going to put down second Luminion now. Uses its ability to search for a supporter. Probably going to be research since that Archeops just went to hand. You want to discard it. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like old lady research. Really deciding there. VSTAR's out the 2 Archeops that are now in the discard pile. Doesn't even need to discard the one that's in his hand right now. Uses the first Archeops, eyes up Aurora Energy and Speed Lightning. And Heat Fire. He might use both Archeops here. Looks like he's planning on attacking with Luminion. You could always chain Luminions, and that makes sure that your energies are not in play basically all game. So that could be something to do. Attaches for turn. Choice spell, research. Got quite a few energies there. He's gonna use a double turbo from deck onto the Manaphy. So now that'll be able to retreat. That is a very hefty retreat cost, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, now John's plan for the game is just going to be Luminion loop. Puts up the other Luminion, shuffles those energies back into deck, and just hopes to bench another Luminion every single turn. And just keep looping them over and over and over. That way, Cry of Destruction can't discard your energies. But the thing is, Azul probably knows about that strategy and likely plays a bunch of boss's orders. And ways to recycle said boss's orders. Azul is thinking. You can see the gears turning in his head right now as he rubs his eyebrow. Yeah, Cry of Destruction does not do anything if John does not have any energies in play. And yeah, one boss's orders. That that Lugia VSTAR has a 4 retreat cost now. How is he gonna move that? The world may never know. But yeah, in order to even attack with the Luminion, you have to have the double Archeops in play, which means you have to have the Lugia in play, which is just a boss target. So you can see how this deck is designed specifically to take down Lugia. And it works the very same way against things like Mew as well. That Gormandized Snorlax with the Cape of Toughness is able to also withstand an attack from Archeops. If John Eng can draw into something like a Lost Blower, the Lost Vacuum, he'll be able to get rid of the Cape of Toughness, knocking out the Snorlax, and then being able to attack into something else all in the same turn. I think in that situation, Azul would probably put up something like the Radiant Greninja, which wouldn't be knocked out in one hit. But you never really know. So yeah, he's going to be forced to put 4 energy cards onto this Lugia VSTAR in order to just attack this turn. Unless he just wants to pass. But Azul will probably be playing something like Sydney in his deck as well, to make sure that if John has any energies in his hand, Azul can just discard them. Yeah, John's trying to piece together some sort of win condition here. And you can see you can tell This is a lot different from the, say, the Ian Robb game. John just seems very unsure of his actions here. And this is a little uncharacteristic for John, I would believe. But honestly, it's just such a bad matchup in my opinion. Just already seeing Azul's deck in action, just over the course of these couple turns. The combination Galar Mine and Boss's Orders with an Evital on the bench with the double turbo energy, like, what does Lugia do against that? You can see John thinning so that he can try to get to the cards he does want, like Bird Keeper, if he plays it. But again, that's a band-aid to fix the problem. You know, say you break a bone, you put a band-aid on it, what's that gonna do? Azul just plays another Boss's Orders, you're still in the same position. John is able to take a singular prize card now, and the Evital. Oh, John fucked up. Azul's like, no, you can't discard the stadium. You already took your prize card. So yeah, John declared his attack of the Tempest Dive, I believe it's called. Does the 220 plus damage because of the powerful colorless energies. Knocks out the Snorlax, takes a prize, and then says discard the stadium. You have to resolve your effects of attacks before checking for knockouts. So since he took the prize card, that's the knockout already having taken place. So he can't go back and now select to do the effect of the attack to discard the Galar Mine. And you can see Azul, he was like, no, you can't do that. No. And yeah, John just legitimately does not know what he's doing in this matchup. Because how could he? He hasn't tested against this. The reason good players are good is because they've tested specific matchups over and over and over with every deck. But if he's never played against this version of Control, or even any version of Control with Lugia, because Control hasn't really been a thing for a while, you know, there's no real game plan that's already pre-drawn in his head to try to draw from. So he just goes and he starts loading up this Lugia again. He'll likely remember to discard the Galar Mine this time. See, it's understandable that he forgot to discard the stadium, because how often do you discard the stadium? Yeah, and he did grab the stadium and he's like, discard this. And then took his prize card. So you can see John's a little salty. I mean, he didn't do it viciously. It's just funny the way he did it. Like, he just knows he made a mistake. He knows that this is an awful matchup for him, and he is just trying his best that he possibly can. He's taken 2 prize cards, though. As long as Azul can keep whiffing energy. Because Azul does not have an energy right now, so he's not going to be able to knock anything off of that Lugia. Looks like he is going to go for the Boss's Orders just to bring up a Manaphy. Put it down another Galar Mine, just to make it so that Manaphy is stuck there. Manaphy has a 3 retreat cost now. And you want to make sure it's specifically the Manaphy, because the other Pokemon can attack if they were to be charged up. I mean, you kind of want John to waste more energies, but also you don't want him to get any value out of those energies. So by forcing the Manaphy up, if he wants to retreat it, he's going to have to utilize 3 energy cards and discard them, which will do Azul's job for him, essentially. Whereas if he brought up, say, Luminion or Archeops, you just load that thing up and then it takes a one-shot. He's able to take a prize, and now he's halfway to winning the game. Azul's considering using the Lost Vacuum. Gonna get rid of the Choice Belt. I don't think that really matters. And John puts it in his discard pile instead of Lost Zone, but Pokemon still updates the Lost Zone counter correctly anyway. So Pokemon, for once, does their job right, but John messed up and put the Choice Belt in his discard pile. So they'll have to fix that. John Quick Balls for Pumpkaboo. He'll be able to get rid of this Galar Mine, but you gotta think that Azul's likely playing 4 stadiums. Yeah, okay, that goes to the Lost Zone now. Pumpkaboo discards the stadium. He's gonna use 1 charge from the Archeops to retreat this Manaphy here. And then go into the Lugia and Tempest Dive for another knockout. So again, you can see this is very favored for Azul, but since he missed that 1 energy attachment to that Evital, it's not working out as well as you would think. Looks like he's going to put up Manaphy to potentially buy a turn. Yeah, and he also doesn't have any Snorlax in play. Usually, you would want to promote something like a Snorlax so you can Gormandize into the energy that you need. But yeah, Azul's just bricking right now, and that's why he's losing. If Azul wasn't bricking, this is his game to win, but... Looks like Greninja to draw 2, and... Nope, it was just a single energy that he discarded, and he didn't get any of the double energies. Azul knows the maximum amount of energies that any Lugia deck will ever play, so he is looking through the discard to count those energies. Considering using Quick Ball here, gonna get rid of the Regieleki that can recycle item cards. It's really funny when I see a Regi in control decks. Considering Miltank, that's funny. Because the Lugia can't hit through Miltank, you would have to attack with Archeops. And that would just force you to retreat anyway. But it looks like he's going for the Eldegoss instead. He's probably going to go for yet another boss play. Bring up the Pumpkaboo, maybe. But Pumpkaboo is the one with the biggest retreat cost, and also it doesn't really hit that hard. No, he's going for Chorus's Experiment. He's digging for that energy card. I think he got it off of that last one, too. Or maybe not. No, no, it's there. I see it. Lost Zone's the Ice Cube and a second Eldegoss. It's weird seeing 2 Eldegoss in a deck. I've never seen that before. I mean, it makes sense, but... Again, discards everything but the capture energy off the Lugia. And now John is again in a precarious situation. 2, 3 energy cards left in his deck. Boss the Eldegoss, and that's game. Whew, John was able to pull that one out barely. Yeah, it really came down to Azul missing the 1 energy attachment, I believe. Or at least a Snorlax. Because Azul would have been able to attack 1 turn earlier and discard energies. And then he still would have potentially been able to do it another turn after that, and then John would have been out of energies. So Azul was very close to winning that game. Because once you run Lugia out of all of their energy cards, then you can start doing some more standard stally, millie type things. Like pal padding in Team Yell's cheer. I'm not sure exactly what Azul's list looks like, but that's usually the kind of thing that they want to be doing. See, Evital, Luminion prized. So we can't do Luminion loop in this game, most likely. Miltank is prized from Azul. That might be his only copy. Also, a Snorlax and a Twin could matter. The Ice Cube being in there is perfectly fine. He kind of wants that in there. He doesn't really need it. And he starts Eldegoss too, which is not good. But he can use Eldegoss's attack to shuffle it back into the deck. It has a very similar attack to the Luminion. Puts down Snorlax, puts down Yveltal. Has another Ice Cube in his hand. He's playing multiple Ice Cube. That's good for matchups like Reggie and Lost Box. And then Gormandizes to fill his hand up to 7. Snorlax, very much like the Tropical Beach of old. Tropical Beach, such a good card. So, John is using that capture energy. We're going to see what he wants to eye up with that. Honestly, I don't even know what he would want to put into play. I think you just want the 2 Archeops on your bench so that you can use them to charge up your guys, and then only have the Lugia as your only attacker, potentially. Because it didn't work out too poorly in the last game. Yeah, so it looks like he is choosing to fail it. I think that's correct, actually. I think failing it is correct. Gonna Serena, discard 2, draw 2. Not the best hand. He does have a double energy, though. He is gonna read the wind, discard Pumpkaboo. It would have been nice to keep the Pumpkaboo, but I can see why he chose that instead of literally anything else in his hand. So Zul's got double Ice Cube in his hand and 1 in prizes. That man is a madman. I mean, that's how you beat Lost Box, though. So you could put the double on the Yveltal, potentially. Oh, no, he used... I think he used Peonia, maybe? Did he use Peonia? I don't see a Peonia in play, but it looks like he's putting prize cards back. Yeah, it's on the screen, but I don't see it. Maybe it's off slightly from the screen, because it's not in his discard pile. So John's trying to figure out how he can get those Archeops into the discard pile. You want to have 2 before you go in with the Lugia VSTAR, but... So there's 1. I think he has Quick Ball in his hand. Yeah, so just Quick Ball that one away. Quick Ball for Luminion. He's gonna Marnie. I think that's good. Get the Marnie. He already has the energy on his Evital, though, but by limiting the cards in Azul's hand while also getting rid of the Snorlax, it could make it so Azul just bricks. Like, off this 4-card hand, he's going to need something along the lines of another Snorlax, another Evital double turbo or something. That's a Starly. What the heck does the Starly do? Doesn't that, like, snipe the bench or something? I could be completely wrong. Or does that attack for free when you play Bird Keeper? I don't even remember. Either way, it's crazy. So we do get double Archeops in play with a Lugia VSTAR active. So we are going to be able to see the double Archeops charging up this Lugia. I think there is an argument to put an additional energy on it, because the one Archeops put 2 energy and the other Archeops put 1. I think there is some amount of merit to putting an additional energy on there, because we know he has a double turbo in hand, and he could just slap that down. But also, keeping them in his deck could potentially conserve them on a turn where he can't attack if he gets locked active under the Galar Mine. Looks like he retreats the Yveltal, bosses the Archeops, attaches Twin to Starly. What does the Starly even do? Puts Galar Mine down, uses Starly's ability. Does he search Bird Keeper? Oh, I think he can search. I gotta look up the Starly now, because I really do need to know. This isn't Leafy Camo Poncho. This is relevant. Starly card. So it's this one. If you played Bird Keeper from your hand during your turn, ignore all energy and its attack cost. Keen Eye, search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them in your hand and shuffle your deck. Okay. Yeah, that is relevant. That's cool, actually. That's an interesting inclusion. So he was able to search his deck for any 2 cards. So now, if that Starly doesn't get knocked out, I mean, even if it does, the Yveltal comes up, the Archeops is forced to stay active, and he can just discard 3 energies. He can just discard them all off the Archeops. And it'll be trapped active with the Galar Mine. It'll force John to put even more energies on his active. And it does make it a good thing that John didn't overcommit an additional energy onto that Lugia VSTAR. So there's one. Yeah, he's considering what energies he wants to do. He's gonna go in for the Luminion. You gotta remember that Galar Mine's in play. Archeops has a 1 retreat cost normally, so now it has 3. So that 1 double turbo isn't enough to retreat it. He's gonna have to attach another energy. Then he decides to retreat? Yeah, I don't like this play at all. And then he's gonna put the Lugia back active. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That just wasted energies. I feel like it was fine to just leave the Archeops active and attack. Yeah, that play just felt not good. Thornton into the Snorlax. That's dirty, Azul. That's real dirty. Gorman dies for 7 after slapping down his whole hand into the board. That's cool. Yeah, so he searched for the Thornton with the Starly. Azul, don't make me want to play this deck. I don't have the cards for it. I don't have Starly. Actually, I think I have everything else for the deck. I just don't have the Starly. Which is hilarious, honestly. And he's making sure. He's like, discard that. Alright, now I'll take my prizes. It's Darkness Ablaze, Starly. Yeah, also, what does this deck do against Palkia? Palkia is sort of a thing. If Ian plays it, it's good at least, so. Do you see the concealed cards from the newly placed down Greninja? Gonna draw 2 cards off this wash energy that isn't really needed. Double turbo to the Eviltal. Discarding everything but the capture energy yet again. Again, attempting to run John Ang out of all of his energy cards. And since he discarded 3 off that retreat on the Archeops a couple turns earlier, he's helping his old dude's job for him. They do have 15 minutes left, but I'm not sure if that's enough time for a Game 3 in a control matchup. We do see Quick Ball for Luminion, for a supporter. We're gonna use, looks like just first Archeops right now. Probably putting a bunch of energy onto Lugia. Looks like both Archeops. And gets that Marnie, playing the Marnie that he got off the Luminion V. Trying to brick Azul's hand yet again. My cat is doing big stretch. She is cute. Yes, that's right. She's gotta make sure she doesn't get bed sores, so she has to lay on her other side now. John's just doing more deck thinning. Evo incenses for that Archeops. Throws his cards everywhere on accident. Tempest Dive to take a knockout. Goes down to 2 prize cards remaining. Azul doesn't have any 2 prizers left. This would be a fun time to play Echoing Horn in this deck, I'll tell you. He is thinking about getting the Eldegoss, maybe? I don't know if you can afford to put it into play at this point. That's John having 1 boss or Serena away from having the game won. So yeah, thinking about the Evital. He does have the energy for it. You can discard 3 energies. You know, it'd be great in Azul's deck is if he had Fan of Waves as well. Then you could discard 3 energy at a time and Fan of Waves the additional one away. That would be pretty pog. Although I guess that doesn't really matter. And there is the Sydney. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because either way, you're getting 4 energies off of every Archeops. So Fan of Waves doesn't do anything, actually. Discards 3 energy. John now has to get 3 more energy onto this Lugia. Azul did grab another Evital, but he didn't put it down. So yeah, it looks like John has plenty of energies left. So even if Azul did put down the other Evital, he knows that the game is just lost to him. So yeah, this should be the game now. Unless Azul has another boss on this next turn specifically. Yeah, he needs to do boss Galar Mine again. That's an energy. Eldegoss. Eldegoss can boss, but is that going to be enough? John could just have an energy, which he does have in deck, in order to retreat any of his Pokemon. Yeah, actually, Azul needs more than that. He needs to be able to knock the energy off this Lugia while going boss Galar Mine. Because we know John has a double turbo and an Aurora energy left in deck, I believe. So that's enough to fulfill a 3 energy retreat cost. So he needs to make sure the Lugia can't attack next turn while pulling something active that has a heavy retreat cost. Yeah, so that's Azul's only way to win. Is Happy Match for boss. Boss up the Archeops, put Galar Mine into play, and uses Cry of Destruction all at the same time. But unfortunately, John has the energy in deck to retreat. So that is going to be the game. Oh, and he even has the Lost Blower, the Lost Vacuum, to just hard retreat. So yeah, that was pretty much a landslide victory for John. At least in the end. But you can see why Azul's deck should be very favored against that. But John managed to piece it together, even with that misplay game 1. That really should have cost him the game. He ended up pulling that whole thing out, so. So yeah, props to John for being able to piece that together. And a little unfortunate that Azul's interesting, more unique style of deck wasn't able to pull that one out, even in a favored matchup. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you tune in to the next round where we will be doing more Pokémon's action. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you then.